between Byul and Arthur. It is on Frost. And right away, we can see spawning down in the bottom left-hand corner, the blue Protoss player, currently teamless.
Yeah.
His name is Arthur.
As mentioned on Biocard as well, most recently part of Western Wolves, but that wasn't very long. So I think he left 3 months ago, somewhere in the summer. And since then, he's been teamless. He said, still looking for a team. I said, well, Arthur, just win your group today, and that problem will be fixed.
His opponent in the bottom right-hand corner, the red Zerg player, representing Incredible Miracle. It is Byul.
Reverse zoom. Bam.
Boom. Adabisi, when did you get here?
It's Funkadelic. Funkadelic is the new Adabisi.
Funkadelic thinks that, you know, those guys behind the camera need
they
to get a little more credit.
They need to be in the spotlight every now and then as well. We called up on the stage to do a little interview here and there. WCS Season 2 Grand Finals, biggest stage there is.
Know, Funkadelic definitely made the Season 2 Grand Finals.
He rocked it. I must say, it was a pleasure working with him, though. Like, if he's watching, Funkadelic, big shout out, because you're doing a really good job.
So, what will we see out of these two guys? Byul right now, 14 drones, hasn't done anything with them. We've got the Gateway Expand coming out of Arthur. This is just the in vogue thing, it seems, these days. All the Protoss players think that Gateway first is the way to go. Why do you think that is, Kev?
Just because there are a lot more options where you can go from it. Forge Festival is going to give Zerg a lot of time, unless you go for like a crazy all-in, but those are a little bit easier to scout as well. With Gateway first, you just have plenty of options, and it's going to be a little harder for Zerg. They're going to have to be a little more careful. They can't go too heavy on the drones, and that's something that a lot of pros players like to take advantage from off. And of course, it just opens up your tech a lot quicker. You get the quicker gateway, you get a quicker cybercore, you get quicker everything.
Now this is the greediest Gateway Expand I think you can hope for, as I think we're going to end up seeing a Nexus before even a Zealot. I don't know, actually Cybercore did go ahead and go down, so I spoke too soon. But Arthur very clearly intending to take his expansion so quickly, and look at the craziness out of Byul, Kev.
Wow.
3 hatch before spawning pool. I think if Arthur scouts this, his best choice is just a 4K.
Yep, and that's something that a lot of people often say. You can even still drop the Nexus and then just like barely use it and still just go for the crazy gate. But you're gonna have to scout it pretty early though, because you want to Corona Boost Cybercore or Warp Gate technology quite a few times if you want to do something like that. And even then, it's not a default win. You might be able to kill the third base, but if you're not able to break the natural and spine crawlers go up, then you're still kind of like on a low economy. But we will see. It would be cool to see something like that. He's gonna drop the Nexus right now, but he can still, you know, he can still do something really crazy out of it. But look at it where he's scouting. He's gonna scout the north side of the map first, so it's gonna take a very long time for Arthur before he's gonna find Byul. So I don't really think there's something that he can do about it anymore.
I think suddenly this is really bad for Arthur.
Yep.
By the time he figures out what Byul's up to, he's gonna be a little bit too late for him to reactively punish it. Spawning pool is already finished for Byul. We're gonna see queens soon. And you know, once the queens are out, the drone count gets established, then Zerg is very easily able to transition into unit production at the drop of a hat.
Still even a relatively quick extractor as well, despite the 3 hatch before pool. So speed is going to be a little later than normal, but it's not going to be extremely late.
A fast gasp, given what you normally see out of these crazy 3 hatch openings. So. So I guess clearly Byul is intending to establish some kind of safety.
It's going to be a Stargate going down for Arthur as well. Arthur still has seen absolutely nothing. He has a probe over here on the right top side of the map. He might use that probe to get a pylon later on, but look at these two little links.
God, unbelievable. The Lings are going to see. Yes, they will see that probe.
And if you talk about an unfortunate opening for Protoss, this is pretty much what you find in the dictionary, because it can't really get any worse than this, man. You just don't know anything. You have, by the time that he sees his opponent, he has no idea that it was even a 3 hatch before spawning pool. There is no way for him to identify what he was playing against.
Doesn't even get up into the natural, so he has no idea. Absolutely zero. Mothership Core might actually float across and try to do some scouting in this case, and I think that's not a bad idea. But it's going to be Phoenixes. This is just... It's so funny because nothing has happened, and it's already a very clear disadvantage for Arthur.
He has basically chosen the worst possible thing that he could do against what Byul is doing. And you know, on the other hand, you can look at Byul's side as well. Like, Byul doesn't know how fantastic this is for him. Right now, as a Zerg player, like, we are making this sound like, oh, there's nothing that he has to worry about. If you are Byul in this situation, that's not how you feel. You're still like, okay, what am I playing against? How many gateways are there? Now it's suddenly like, hey, a Phoenix? So I don't really have to worry about anything. Okay, this is a nice moment because from this point on, he's just, I'm just gonna spread creep. I'm gonna make sure that I get a couple of spores here and there, which
scouting, man.
Also gonna help against DTs.
Down there in the corner of the map, just spotted and killed another probe. You guys don't see the carcass of that probe, but that was that's a great pickup. It continues to limit Arthur's options, and Byul, the fact that he actually gains something from these lings he made early on, that's also very huge. This could have been drones, but instead he made Zerglings.
I'm very surprised he's still producing 4 roaches right now. Perhaps he really has to feel that his opponent wants to get a pylon out there somewhere, and he has to just, he's like, perhaps I miss it, perhaps there is a pylon, let me just get a couple of safety roaches. It's not going to put him back too much, but still it's going to slow him down just a tiny bit. Then again, he can make 8 roaches and still put himself in a very good economic position 30 seconds after that.
Yeah, so he's got those safety roaches out. He's definitely not gone the greediest route possible. He could have just powered nothing but drones, and as we can see, he would have been safe. But you know, there's absolutely nothing wrong with getting those safety units out, because nothing in the world is more frustrating than thinking you're safe and then losing your third hatch to 4 or 5 zealots.
Drones will fall here and there, but that's really nothing for Byul to worry about. Right now he's had 10 workers. By the time that Arthur thinks about either moving out, we see a forger in production right now as well. A couple of zealots being wiped in. He did just make a forge and a robo, so I'm just, you know, where are you going to take this? Is he going to try to drop a third next right now? That's at 9-minute mark. That's not even super late, but it's more the fact that Byul is already in such a fantastic position that by the time that this third next is up and running, the Zerg can literally be at 80 workers.
I love this mothership core just sitting over this Zelnaga tower, making sure that that Byul's never able to park a Zergling on it and just kind of enjoy that free vision.
Yeah, he dropped the hit. Interesting.
Okay. 9-minute, 30-second third Nexus, not a bad idea. I do feel like he's going to have a real hard time defending it if Byul decides to turn on the aggression. We see 8 more drones and 6 more roaches out here for Byul. It looks like he just wants to hit that 70 drone mark and then go crazy. Hydrogen also going down, so I think we're about to see some aggression.
I was confused for a second there because I saw he was making an infestation pit. I was like, okay, what are you going to do with that? Can you make swarmos? Haven't really seen it in this phase of the game for quite a while. Wouldn't even think it would be a very bad idea, but it definitely confused me. But then he changed his mind, or perhaps he just misclicked the first time and dropped the Hydra then, which I think is a much smarter decision. Because I agree with you, Ben, if we're just going to see a crazy amount of roaches and Hydras of this really good economy that Byul has, he's on 69 drones right now. It could be a little bit more, just go up to 74, 76. You can see that fourth base going down as well. Sure, Arthur is going to have Colossus, but is he actually going to have enough units to really defend? And this is a very, or a reasonably wide area as well to defend.
Yeah, he's only now starting his first Colossus, and he only now has a single Robo. There's not even a second Robo being built, so... oh man, and the roaches are just going to come right. Well, I cannot believe that Byul is so brazen to just walk right over to the natural. And he's going to force Arthur to come back. Those sentries going to get caught in transition. Pretty good force field's getting thrown down there. At the last possible second, a few zealots going to die. All the sentries are killed. Byul's going to have to disengage from this.
But actually, I think that was a really nice little pick-off already by Byul. He picked off all those sentries, and those are not just sentries because, hey, they are expensive. Those were the sentries with 200 energy. So those sentries represent a lot of force field that even if he decides to remake those sentries, which I'm not sure if he really has the gas for or if he really wants to spend the gas on, they're not going to have enough force fields, or at least not nowhere near the same amount as he had before. You see a ridiculous amount of Hydras were in production, at one moment even 20, I believe. 7 of them have spawned, 13 more in production. That was a great pickup. Yes, he lost a couple of roaches and links, but the cost, or like what those sentries were worth, was more than worth it for him.
140 Zerg supply against 110 Protoss supply. So Arthur is definitely in an awkward position now. If he has time, if he's given time, and he can get a few Colossi out and he can really establish that third base, he might be okay. But Byul's position is just so good right now, and we can see that he's the last thing that he wants to give Arthur is that time that we're talking about. Moves out, takes the Zelnaga tower. We should probably see him starting his hive pretty soon. As actually, no, he's going to just get Corruptors. He's not even going to worry with the Vipers. So it's going to be Roach Hydra Corruptor, old school style, and that's going to work just fine.
It is going to work reasonably good, but I'm a little bit worried. Are there still slow Hydras? I believe they are, right, man?
Yeah, his first Hydra upgrade is the range. Where's that Hydra?
Yeah, it's in the back of his base.
Yeah, so I don't think he's gotten that speed upgrade just yet. We will...
I mean, with those Corruptors, there is not too much DPS, but those two Void Rays are really scary for Corruptors. Corruptors are going to have to make a decision. Either they're going to focus the Void Rays, or they ignore the Void Rays, then the Void Rays are going to kill all those Corruptors. Or they're just going to kill the Colossus, which I think might be a better idea, because then eventually the Hydra stay alive a lot longer as soon as this Colossus done. I'm not actually sure what he's going to focus. What I do know is that he has a very scary army. Hydra speed just now going down, so it's still going to take a little while before that one is ready. Army supply 104 against 77. Don't lose those Phoenixes. That's really careless right there by Archer, losing 2 out of 4 Phoenixes, and the other 2 are extremely low in HP. He does have 2 sentries, so he still has a few force fields, but here we go.
Those are great force fields, though, and with the Photon Overcharge on that Nexus, this is so much damage. Look at this Zerg army. It's like basically not fighting. The Void Rays are going to hit charge, and they're going to kill all these Corruptors, and Byul, really trying to force a bad fight, is going to lose a ton of army. But Kevin, does it even matter? He's still maxed, and he's just going to continue to rally across. Looks like he might even... no, he's not even going to bother to disengage. He's just going to continue to A-move into this Protoss army.
Well, I feel that Archer was not controlling his army properly. The start was pretty okay for him, but then he lost it 1 Colossus against just a few Roaches. Then he lost the Void Rays as well. He will be able to clean this up, but there are 30 more Roaches on the way somewhere. 110 against 165 right now. If he would have been able to keep that Colossus alive and 1 or 2 of those Void Rays, I actually would have felt like, hey, this was a pretty damn reasonable hold. I did not expect that to go so well for him. I felt that Byul was a little too reckless with his Corruptors. You know, if you're in a good economic position, it's okay to just kind of right-click. I felt he overdid it, but perhaps Archer is overdoing it right now. There's no way you can fight on crit.
No, absolutely not. Blink is done, so he will be able to retreat, but only with the Stalkers. We saw a sentry getting picked off there. Byul knows not to overextend too much. You know, in spite of the fact that Byul traded so well there, I didn't like the way he was so careless with the Corruptors and even the Hydras. He lost more than he had to. But that said, I think both players are kind of at a point of stability. Arthur still in the defensive is not as comfortable as he would like to be. Byul maxed out now. His Hive just now starting. So we'll
I think it's safe
Vipers
to say
soon.
that Byul is still in a pretty good position. There's no more Mothership Core either. That's something that we have to mention. So no Time Warp, even though there was no Time Warp in the last engagement either. But there was a Photon Overcharge, and that one won't go down either. There is a Warp Prism on the map right now, but that Warp Prism is spotted way in advance, as we can already see. There's plenty of creep here to spot it, and there is a Spore Crawl over here as well. Arthur!
Spore, oh man.
Okay, that was a very unexciting Warp Prism.
Yeah, he's down to 20 hit points, 6 hit points, and dead. Is that Warp Prism?
Hive is more than halfway done. Do you think we might see some...
Vipers. It has to be Vipers.
Yeah, that
That's
would make a lot of sense.
absolutely what I think we want to see here out of Byul, as it'll just give him that much more flexibility against the Colossi. Both players just kind of dancing around each other's outskirts. Some good force fields there, and actually I think Arthur's going to take a pretty reasonable fight. Colossi is just going to be micro back. Oh man, but those Corruptors kill Colossus so very fast.
Yeah, despite idling above all those Stalkers, a lot of Corruptors will fall though if one additional... I mean, at the end of the day, there was basically only Roaches left, so the fight that the Colossus died, yeah sure, Colossus are always good, but they're a lot more important when they actually kill Hydras, which wouldn't have been the case this time anyway.
It's actually a Swarm Host transition for Byul. That's very interesting, and I think very smart after killing off the Colossi. Arthur's no longer producing Colossus. He's now gone into just making War Prisms. He's only got the single Robo. Greater Spire and Swarm Hosts are on the way. So now it's going to be attack of the free units. And Arthur's got really nothing in his army that's real good at dealing with that kind of stuff.
One Colossus is in production once more right now. Well, we have a couple of Roaches behind the mineral line trying to be annoying, trying to make a small run by. Perhaps Byul just cleaning up a little bit of supply. I don't think he killed too many probes. 7 have fallen throughout the entire game.
Yep, Roach Run By was a cute idea, but it didn't end up doing
There's
too much
so
of
many Stalkers on the map. You know, in the old days we used to talk about the Stalker syndrome, like players that just love Stalkers too much. I think Arthur, well, if he makes it work, then he definitely doesn't have a syndrome. But 50 Stalkers, that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
that's 100
this
army
is a
supply.
Massive Stalker ball. The problem with it is it's going to have a real hard time breaking through stuff like this. Static defense, backed up by Swarm Hosts.
And Hydralisks.
And Hydralisks. This is basically the best army that you can muster for dealing with Stalkers, as we see one of them falling to a couple of Locusts. And, well, now there's another Colossus out, but man, it's going to take more than just one Colossus to deal with this Zerg army.
Yeah, I'm very surprised he's still on a single Robo. I know that he's not that rich, but eventually he would like to see something more exciting than just a bunch of Stalkers. He's going to wipe in a couple of Zealots over here. It's going to be annoying. That's of course nice when you know your opponent is going to be more and more immobile over time. See +3 going down. There comes that second Robo I just mentioned a few seconds ago.
Feels so good. Already has Hydras in position to deal with this Zealot run by. And not even a single Spine Crawler going to fall to this attack. That Warp Prism has more or less been shut down. Roach is still running around the outskirts of the map, and they're trying to chase down these 4 Stalkers. Arthur's going to get aggressive, and I don't know how I feel about this.
There are Broodlords out on the map as well. This is a very immobile army to defend this 5th base, and this 5th base is going to be pretty damn important because Byul, sure, he has quite a few minerals in the bank, but he doesn't have all that much gas, and his army is getting pretty gas intensive. I think this is kind of a smart move, but I do have to worry about the counterattack that Byul is eventually going to throw at him.
So the Stalkers, you're right, they're definitely way more mobile than basically the entirety of Byul's army. Byul's just going to actually sacrifice his Hydras here on a counterattack, and this is going to be really hard for Arthur to deal with. Where's his Mothership Core? Does he even have one?
Yeah, he just rebuilt it. It doesn't have Photon Overcharge yet or anything.
No Photon Overcharge, no ability to recall into the army, and actually it might get focused down. That would be really cute, and it does get focused down, so Mothership Core removed from the fight once again. Nexus gets picked off, and I got to tell you, man, I think
Arthur is in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I think Byul's just outplaying him, and I don't think that Byul's done anything exceptional. I just think he's just had the better choices. Really, it all started when he went 3-hatch before pool freely.
He did pick up this 5th base, and that's pretty important because once more we can already see his Byul slow but steady really starting to lag gas. Only has 140 gas in the bank right now. He is maxed out or very close to it, but that's also the last max out he will be able to do for a little while. How many Broodlords we had? We had 4 before, we got 7 right now and 2 more on the way, so he's gonna go up to 9 Broodlords. But you know, it is a very hard, in a silly way, this sounds really stupid, but I want to say it's a very hard army to control when you have Foremost, Hydras and Broodlords, and that's not because once the fight started hard, because they're just all spawning 3 units, but it's to make sure that none of them is ever caught out of position, and if that happens once, you know, Stalkers can jump right on top of that.
Corruptor's in a great position, are going to kill a Colossus for free. And
a couple of
Corruptor dies in the exchange. Broodlords are also there.
That's not fungal. I didn't know we had Infest on that. We have one of them.
It's a really strange choice from Byul to go Infestor and not Viper. But so be it. The Infestors are still very good at locking down armies that are caught in bad positions. We see more counter-aggression over here at the 3rd base.
These roaches have been being annoying for like the last 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Those were the roaches that were just idling on the left side of the map all the time. At the same time, we see a couple of Stalkers making sure that 5th base isn't retaken. This is a very, very scary Zerg army. Not an army you want to fight straight on, but is there a way for Arthur to somehow, some way get a good position or that just dance around the army and try to intercept reinforcements or something like that? There's so much static defense actually all around the map that is going to be really hard.
I mean, Byul's done a good job of securing what bases he has. Does need to take a new 5th. That's certain. But man, I don't know how Arthur's supposed to deal with this army. There's literally nothing out on the map.
He's ignoring it for now, which as silly as done, I think is the best idea.
I think with a Mothership Core, he can get away with it, but he doesn't have one. No, he does.
It's in the middle of the map, it's coming to the army, so this is a reasonable idea. He's going to be able to perhaps shut down this 4th base as well, and that is a really nice pickup, but at the same time he's losing his main, he's taking a lot of damage in natural, he's once more losing an Observer, that's a little bit sloppy.
How bizarre is this? We're seeing a base race where the Protoss player has the more mobile army. Not something that we're too used to in this matchup, as it's often the Zerg player flying around with mutas. But Protoss with Mass Stalker against a very immobile army of... Angry Robes. A very immobile army of Swarmhost, Broodlord, Hydraless, Queen, Corruptor.
The craziest game I've ever seen in that scenario was in the WCS Europe last year when Red played against Robbie on Entombed Valley, I believe it was. It was such a crazy map, and Red was actually in a really good position, but then Red forgot that was his last building, even though he had plenty of money, and Robbie was able to secure a win against all those Broodlords, which were all over the map. Do we have any drones on the map? And that's already an important question to ask. We have 40 drones in total. Okay, there are a couple of drones over here which can easily get out, and I would say get those drones out right now.
Yeah, they need to book it. There's a couple hatcheries being built around the map.
Oh, okay. We have plenty of drones over here as well.
Down at 6 o'clock. But that's still pretty close to that scary Protoss army. There's all the probes of Arthur hiding up at the top of the map. You see Assimilator's going down. Looks like he's not going to invest in another Nexus. He's saying, I'm going to win with this army.
He might still do it, but I think he's just not sure yet where he wants to drop that Nexus. Army supply right now shows us 114 against 142, but once more, this is a super slow Zerg army. There is a chance it can get caught out of position at some... I mean, there are even queens in this mix to make this army even slower. But
actually, there is the Nexus going down, so that's...
I think the Nexus is a little too close.
Yeah, I don't know if I like that idea. That's 400 minerals. Arthur probably wants to run. He wants to make this Zerg army move, and when he creates a situation where he has to defend, I think he's gonna be fighting a losing battle. simply because the fighting strength of Byul's army is greater than that of Arthur's army.
Yep.
So we'll see. It does ultimately come down to positioning. Oh man, every stalker is so valuable, you cannot afford to lose them to things like locusts.
We still got 36 stalkers on the map.
Against 16 Broodlords and 8 Swarm Hosts. I don't think I'm a believer, Kev.
A couple of Hydras are over here on the left bottom side of the map. It seems like RTX is going to try to make something happen, but the Broodlords are just split beautifully. Oh, Pongo might actually land on a lot of Songers. That's a very nice
huge,
Pongo.
Man, and that actually might be a deal breaker, as so much of Arthur's army is going to get caught there, and he's going to just GG out immediately. Byul secures the win with old school blue.